Awesome. Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Invest with Us podcast.
Whoop whoop.
I'll be one of your hosts today, Logan Manzanares.
Katie Manzanares.
And Katie, what are we talking about today? Why is today such an important podcast episode?
Yeah, we are going to buy a house out of the state of Montana.
Wow. Why is that so exciting?
Because we're pretty comfortable with our backyard.
I'll tell you why I'm actually excited about it. And I actually made a post on my Instagram today. I don't know if you saw that. If you guys are out there, some of you are watching on Instagram, watching this on Instagram, we're doing this on YouTube, we're doing this on Facebook, we're doing this on all places now. But if you have not watched me on Instagram, I made a post about writing our goals down. So do you remember writing our goals down this year?
Mm-hmm.
Where were we?
We were in Texas.
We're in Texas.
Austin. Bee Cave.
Bee Cave, Austin, Texas. And talk about the experience of us writing down our goals this year. And then I'll talk about how it actually came all the way up to that point in December of 2021 in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, we love to write goals down. I think it's important to always be striving towards something. So, New Year's resolution goals are always a nice time because as much as, life is a continuum of yesterdays, there's like this set in stone when it turns into a new year. It's like, new you, new year, right? Or whatever. So we like to write our goals down more than just at New Year's time, but we were spending some time in Texas and we like to, I don't know what are you asking me? We like to write our goals down, New Year's goals. So we listed literally, I sat down and I wrote down my personal goals, with the relationship, with business, with finances, with just me, from my perspective, all of my goals. Logan wrote down his goals independently as well. And then we spent probably like an hour each just sitting there thinking about what our goals were, what our dreams were, what we wanted in life. And then after that hour of just sitting and writing, we kind of came together and saw what goals we actually shared and then what goals we did not share. And then we condensed a list for each other of, shared goals. Now I still have my own personal goals and Logan still has his own personal goals, but a lot of them ended up having a lot of overlap. And that's kind of how we came to, we wanted to buy a house out of state. That was one of the goals.
That's amazing. And just that structure that you walked through right there of how we laid it out, I think is really cool. And so if you have the value of having a partner like that, it's really cool to be able to bounce ideas off people, because when I was writing down my goals and you write down your goals and then we came together, when we communicated them to each other, it allowed us to even get more clear on what we wanted. And so like, it was like a first draft versus a second draft. And then we created a third draft. And guess what? It's all just a draft because we keep updating the goals every single week that we go through it.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really important point because a lot of people, they don't ever want to write their goals down because that means that they can't change.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys know, but like pens, you can scribble stuff out. You can like rewrite stuff. You can delete it. You can, every day my goals changed until I actually, it's cool when you do it every single day because you actually see what repeats and what is only there for a short period of time. If it's only there for a short period of time, it's fine. Like my dreams and what I want in life has ebbed and flowed, and some things go away and come back. Some things go away and never come back. And that's okay.
And some things sit there for a really long time, right? Until they get accomplished. And even sometimes when you accomplish it, you're like, was that really what I wanted? And sometimes it's like, as you accomplish one thing, you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted. And then you start to re-ask yourself, why did I want that? And then it actually shows you the path of what you actually do want. And so ultimately, like, all we're doing is we're taking steps. And sometimes we're just so far away from where we want to go that you can't even see the finish line. And that's really the value in just having goals, because Katie, was there ever moments in your life where you didn't have any goals?
Yeah.
And what sort of action, how excited were you to achieve your goals when you didn't know what the hell your goals were?
It makes quitting really easy. It makes throwing in the towel something that is just like, it's okay. And it's not fulfilling at all.
Yeah. So that's why having clarity on your goals is really important. And when I say clarity, like, I think most people think they got to have like this big grand purpose and they got to have something that wakes them up and gets them excited every single day. And you know what? That might be a season, but maybe your season in the beginning is just freaking doing something, just starting, just like putting your foot onto the playing field and saying, I want to play. I actually remember one of my goals, this was a couple years ago, that my goal was to just wake up. Do you remember this? I just wanted to wake up excited every single day. Like I felt like I had lost that. And I was sleeping in, which is, by the way, like there's nothing wrong with sleeping in, just like the way I work is like I usually like wake up excited and I can't sleep at night because I'm like ready to like jump up in the morning and do work. And I was like sleeping in, I was like waking up whenever I wanted, and it was just like bored. I just wasn't excited. And so that was one of my goals, was just to wake up excited. And so I mean, now it's hard for me to sleep because I'm so freaking excited all the time. But that was just a stepping stone, right? Like that wasn't the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal was not to just wake up excited, but it was like a stepping stone into like, well, now I'm excited about what? Like, what am I excited about? Right now, I'm excited about freaking real estate, and then excited about growing, and now we're excited about buying a freaking new house.
That's awesome.
In Arizona. Oops, did I say where we're going?
Yeah, you did.
We're going to Arizona. Why are we going to Arizona? Why Arizona?
There's a couple reasons. First and foremost, we have an amazing community of like-minded individuals that we want to connect with more in the Phoenix, Arizona area. And number two is the sun shines in Arizona and it never snows. Or if it does snow, it doesn't stay white for months on end.
Yeah. So I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like there's such an amazing real estate community that's in Arizona. One of our mentors, Pace and Laura, are right there, and the community itself is just like it is life changing. It's a game changer, and so that obviously drew us to Arizona, and then the weather definitely played a factor, but not for what most people think. Like I'm not necessarily like a big snob on the weather, but what I am a snob on is going on walks and being able to have time to go out and like see the sunshine, and just like one of the ways I recharge is going on a walk. And in the middle of the winter in Montana, it makes it more difficult. Katie, have we gone on walks in the middle of winter in Montana before?
Oh yeah, I was like 10 months pregnant. We had ski goggles on, we had hats on, we had neck gaiters on up to our noses, and we trenched through feet of snow while I was carrying a baby that was due any moment. And as much as I don't mind the cold and walking in the cold, it's trudging through the snow and the ice. And the time of day that we like to walk is in the morning. And not all neighbors have shoveled when we are walking. So it just makes for extreme.
It's not pleasant.
It's not pleasant.
We can do it. We've proved it. We walked every single day for 2018 or 2019, whatever years that was. I don't remember. It was 2 BC, 2 before COVID, right? That's what I call it. And so we walked every single day, and so through all the storms, everything, and we've proven that we can do it. Now, like we just don't want to do it in that aspect, right?
That was really good. 2 BC.
So that's another big reason. It's like we love going on walks. It's something that actually recharges us and something that's really important. So being in Arizona, or anywhere warm for that matter, is just like that's where we want to be in the middle of winter.
Yeah. So back to goals as well. Like some of our most in-depth conversations, some of our most heart-to-heart, some of our most like, aha, this is what we actually want, have occurred during these walks. Yeah. Like there's something to be said about movement, nature, and lack of like having to put your mind somewhere. Those are the best times that we've ever communicated have been on some of those walks.
Yeah. And it's our time as well. Like this is our time. That's why we like, spoiler alert, the reason why we like to do these, whether there's 5 people watching, whether there's 1 person watching, whether there's 100 people watching, like we do it for us.
Or nobody.
No, like it's just fun for us to tell the stories. It's fun for us to tell what's going on in our life. And it gives us an opportunity that when shit doesn't go our way, or the way that we thought it was going to go, we have things that are unexpected, gives us a really good reason to just smile like, awesome, this is going to go on a podcast. So those walks are really just a great time for us to connect. And really, like, you and our conversations and our ability to be in the same room together is what is the most important. And so when we are when our environment doesn't lend itself to that, it's like we got to start making different logistics around that. And so that's another reason why I want to go to Arizona.
Yeah.
So we're just selling everybody why we're going to Arizona.
Arizona's a long ways from here. And as much as, we have bought real estate and we kind of know what we're doing in terms of like property management and stuff, I've never not been able to just take a 15-minute drive and go make sure everything's fine.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of like a, whew.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to test our systems. It's going to be great.
So let's talk about this. So we're buying a home in Arizona. How did we find this deal, Katie? How did we find this deal?
You did.
Oh, I found it. Yeah. Not that long ago. And so we had made the decision that we're going to be in Arizona, right? I told the world this. Go back to goals. This goes back to goals a little bit. I was like, we're going to be in Arizona by next winter, right? And I started telling everybody in the last 2 weeks. It hasn't actually been that long. I started telling everybody in the last 2 weeks that we're going to be in Arizona. And so by telling everybody that, I told the world, and I also put myself in a position that I'd be held accountable, because I told people, like, I'm going to be there, right? And we talk about this a lot. Like, I'm a person, like, I value integrity so much, and like being integrous with your word, that I'm like, okay, now I have to do this. Even if I don't want to, I have to do it, which I do want to do this, but
there's been things that you haven't wanted to do that you said you were going to do that you had to do because you're a person of integrity.
Correct. So Sunday, not long ago, 3 days ago, I got on Zillow, got into Phoenix, and I started searching on the MLS for properties that fit our criteria. And so our whole game plan behind buying home in Arizona was to have something that we could have at least two rental units on. Why is that, Katie?
So we can live in one and cash flow another one.
Exactly. So that's been our strategy here, and we're going to just take that strategy and move it down south to Arizona. And the nice part about moving to Arizona, Katie, was what?
We just talked about that.
The prices.
Oh, the prices. Yeah. The prices. Feels like we're shopping at a discount.
It feels like we're shopping at a discount, right? Because we basically took the strategy of like looking at how we take one property and turn it into two, or finding two properties and like have one mortgage. And that we're able to cash flow and take that down into a market that actually is less expensive. And so I started searching, like, wow, like these prices are actually pretty good. I can find lots of units, find lots of homes with additional units or mother-in-law suites, and the price points are like great. And all of a sudden I found like 3 or 4 properties on there, and they have the listing agent's information on there. But in order to actually contact them, you have to go through Zillow. And for some reason, maybe I just had never done before, I don't like to go through Zillow. So I just copy the listing agent's information. I put it on the internet on Google, and then I search them, and I end up finding their information from Google rather than through Zillow. And so I sent off, there was 4 listings that I found. And literally, it took me about half an hour to do. And I sent a text message to 4 people saying, hi, my name is Logan. I saw your property on XYZ Street in Phoenix, Arizona. I have a couple questions about it. Curious if you're open to chat. And that was the message I sent. And I got a response from one of those agents back literally within 5 minutes. And she called me. I was like, whoa. Calm down, lady. I was like,
I'm supposed to be the aggressor.
Yeah. And so I actually called her back, and I got on a call with her, and she was super nice, like super nice. Her name was Carrie. And we started talking about the property, and she's asking me good questions. I was like, I'll be honest with you. Like, I haven't even done my due diligence because you just called me so fast. Like, you didn't give me time to actually go through a little bit more about the property and like start to look at the area. So I just started asking her questions about it. And I got the phone with her, and I was like, there's no way. Like, this is the first call, and I couldn't find a problem with the property. And I was like, so I was like fully transparent with her. Cause again, like I am like, integrity is a high value of mine. I was like, hey, I'll be honest with you. This is literally the very first property that I've talked with. And like, I honestly can't find a reason why we shouldn't move forward, but I'm just going to go do a little bit more searching around. So I was just like, I just feel like there's something, like I gotta be missing something. And so so then I was on that phone call, did a little bit more research on it. Went upstairs. This was Sunday night, and I was telling Katie, I was like, hey, just like found this property, and I showed Katie. We actually did some Googling to see where it was at, and she looked at me. She was like, what'd you say? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
You're like, well, you just said, let's do it. Like,
yeah.
Why put an offer in? Or no, you asked me if I put an offer in. I was like, no. She's like, why don't you put an offer in? I was like,
He's been talking about it for 2 weeks straight, nonstop.
Okay.
Why did you not put an offer in?
Okay. And so I sent the real estate agent the message like, hey, I'd like to put an offer in. And well, she couldn't represent us because her seller didn't want her to be able to represent both sides. So that was in her listing agreement that she can represent both sides. So that was my first way to basically get a better offer in. So this is a little nugget for anybody who's out there listening, is if you use the listing agent as your agent, a lot of times they will prefer you because they can get both sides of the commission. So just understand that human beings are human beings, and some brokerages will not let you do that, and some sellers won't let you do that. However, there's always exception. We've actually been dual represented on multiple transactions, and it's fine, right? So anyway, that strategy went away because I was like, how do we get the best offer? I'm always looking at how to get the best offer. And so then she was like, yeah, I can refer you to someone inside my network. And I was like, okay. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, hey, our network that we're moving down there to, like, it's all real estate community. It's like, who do we know inside this mentorship that can help us out? And who's the first person I thought of?
Laura
Morby.
She's a unicorn.
She's a freaking unicorn. And so I texted her, actually I Instagram messaged her, and I sent her the listing. I was like, hey, like, what do you think about this property? And she's like, yeah, it looks cute. And we started chatting about it, and we did a walkthrough like a day later.
Yeah, it was the very
next day. So Laura, like, shout out to Laura. She's a freaking unicorn, right? So Laura's a unicorn agent. Very next day, she got us a listing showing, and she walked through the property, and she was like telling us all the nerdy things about the property. And me and Kate are just like, bro, like, we don't know anything about construction and ductwork.
But she does, so it was great because she awesome. Looked at it like, you know, what's going to need to be fixed. It was phenomenal. It was the best person that we could have chose to actually walk through the property and look at it and tell us, because that's not our expertise. And to have somebody who has that background and do it was amazing.
Yeah. And she's like, you know what, guys, like, I really like this property. I was like, cool. Like,
and she sold me on, when the first words that came out of her mouth was like, whoever has lived here, this place is immaculately clean.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's my home.
Yeah. It was a primary residence. It wasn't a rental. Right. And so a lot of times as a primary homeowner, you'll take care of the property better than you would if you were just renting it. So she showed us the property, and we put an offer in that day, and she helped us walk through the offer. Do you want to know what the offer was?
It was asking price.
Yep. So it was full asking price. We actually did something cool that we've never done before. And we put an escalation clause in that property, or on that contract, that went up about $25,000 more than above asking price. And it would basically beat anybody's offer by $1,000. So the property was $575,000. If someone would have put $580 in there, we automatically would have bumped our offer to $581, right? Yep. And all the way up to $600,000. So that was a strategy. We didn't have to use it, but that was just a cool clause that we had never even had done before. But it was a cool way to, like,
that's great,
to play the game. And so we put that offer in, and then talking with Laura, found out there was another offer in, and guess what the offer was?
Cash.
Cash, right? And so we were doing a financing offer, and they were using cash. And so, generally speaking, which one of those is a better offer?
Cash.
But why was ours better?
Because it was more.
Oh, because the cash offer thought they could get a discount. And so we actually don't know how much less it was, but obviously it was significant enough that they ended up taking
ours.
They took our offer, right? So congratulations. You guys just got under contract for a new to you home in Arizona. Right? And so that's how we end up getting it. And I'll tell you what, another like small piece of the nugget was, once we got under contract, me being the oblivious, never bought anything out of state buyer, Laura asked me for my lender's pre-qualification. And so I sent her a lender that we used here. And then I called him up and was like, hey, like, just let you know, we put a house under contract in Arizona. He's like, bro, we don't do Arizona. Oops. So then I called my second lender that I used on the previous transaction. He's like, we don't do anything in Arizona. So then I called the third lender that I used on the previous transaction. I said, hey, we just bought a house in Arizona. She's like, we don't do Arizona. I'm like, oh. So none of my lenders that I've used in the past have done Arizona. So what do? what do we do?
Ask Laura.
We ask Laura. And so Laura says, hey, I have the perfect guy for you. His name is Julian. He's amazing. Send me his contact information. I literally, like, she sent me that message. I called him right away, picked up, and my first words were, hey, I got referred to you by Laura Morby, and we have this house under contract. He's like, oh my God, I love Laura. She's like, he just went off for legitimately 15 to 30 seconds about how amazing she was. I was like, yes, thank you. Like, we picked the right person, right? He's like, yeah, this, and this. And he told me about his story of his brokerage, and it was amazing, right? And so from the time that I talked to him was like, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. He asked me if you guys have done loan documents with a lender before. You know, there's lots of stuff, right? So he's like, yeah, I know it's going to be a pain. I was like, bro, I've done this enough times. I have got organized. We have all of our stuff. I spent like a week, a couple months ago, getting everything organized that when the situation happened, I could just like basically press a couple buttons and everything could be given to a lender, right? And so I got him everything that day. He had me pre-approved within like 8 hours, right? Which is amazing, which we needed to get our offer accepted. So huge shout out to Laura for making that connection, and then Julian for actually getting all that done literally in the span of like 8 hours, which is unheard of, right? Yeah. So that was really cool. And then after that, our inspection period was like 5 days, right? And so after we got it closed up, Laura said, hey, do you have an inspector? I was like, Laura, we have nobody. We have absolutely nobody. We have you, actually. We have you. We have a Satu community. But in this situation, we only have you. And so she's like, okay, awesome. And she calls the inspector. She's like, I like this guy. She calls him up, gets him on the schedule. He's scheduled for 2 days later. And we didn't even talk to him. Like, that's how amazing that she was to get that whole piece set up, created a Dropbox for us. Everything is literally just like going very seamless. So that's kind of where we're at. Obviously, we're still in a contract, so this there's still a lot of legs left to happen in this deal. But just the experience so far has been podcast worthy, to say the least.
Podcast worthy,
right? So that's where we're at now. We talked a little bit about why we're doing it. Now let's talk a little bit about the numbers, because this is going to be a little unique because we're going to house hack it, right? So Katie, do you know the numbers on this?
No.
Cool. So let's share the numbers. So again, the purchase price is $575. Down payment is still to be determined, because this is going to be a primary. We're actually going to live there. We're going to get primary financing on it. So we have the ability to get basically as little as like probably 5% down. We'll probably do more in between 5 and 10%. It just literally depends on what we get for terms. Again, we actually don't know what the interest rates or anything like that's going to be. If you guys are in the real estate world, or you look to get a loan lately, you know that the interest rates have literally went from 3 to 5% in 2022. Like, everything is going bonkers right now. People are retrading rates, and like some people are getting locked in at like 4% interest rates. And then I had a different property that we locked in at a 5% interest rate. And now we're getting retraded almost at a 7% interest rate. Like, it's freaking astronomical. So I don't quite know exactly what the rates are going to be. We're looking at putting about 5 to 10% down, which is on the top end, $60,000. On the bottom end, about $30,000, which doesn't include closing costs. And then our interest rate's probably, like, honestly going to be in somewhere like that 5% interest rate. Like, it could be plus or minus half a point, but right in that 5% interest rate marker. And that means our monthly payment's going to be right around $2,900. Let's just call it $3,000, right? So right around $3,000. So now here's the cool part of this property. It has 2 units. Okay, it's got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath main house, and then it's got a they call it a mother-in-law suite in Arizona, which is essentially a studio. It's like a 800 square foot studio with a full kitchen, full bathroom. And so when we live there, we're going to obviously live in the 3-bedroom, 2-bath house because we have 2 kids. I didn't even try to convince Katie this time that we should move into the studio and into the big house. I was like, we'll move into the big house, right? And so we will Airbnb that little mother-in-law suite. And so how much money will we make? Not $2,900, not $3,000. We're not going to make that. We'll probably make around, I think it's $1,500 to $2,000 a month by putting that on Airbnb. Okay. Which means what, Katie?
We have $1,500 to make up to have this property free and clear.
Right. So does that kind of hurts because we're not going to be able to cash flow our primary, right?
Well, we're leaving a house in Montana to
Oh.
go live in a house
Wait,
in Arizona.
So you're not selling your house? We're not selling our house that we live in here?
Heck no. This thing's a cash flow monster.
Oh, so we're going to keep our house here.
Mm-hmm.
And what are we going to do with it when we're gone?
Well, we always do this when we're gone, is put it on Airbnb.
So we're going to rent our home out, our home that we currently live in. When we go move into this new home, we're going to rent this home out that we're currently in on Airbnb. And so what do you think this home will rent for?
$3,000 at least a month. Easy.
I mean, our studios rent for $3,000.
Yeah.
So, but to be conservative, we'll call it $3,000 with the just knowing that it'll do probably a lot more than that. But we're very conservative, right? So now we have $3,000 that this thing does. Now we have $1,500 that the other property does. What are we actually netting when we combine these two together?
$1,500.
So we're gonna get paid $1,500 to move to Arizona, is what you're saying.
Sounds great.
That's silly. That is freaking silly, Katie.
That is nonsense.
So obviously, one of the huge values of house hacking is that, because now our house hacking is now stacking on top of each other, because our house that we're currently in, we're already cash flowing, and then we'll move to another house that will cash flow, and it's just like
so this is a little bit of a unicorn situation, because our house already cash flows. So let's say that this was not a cash flowing property. True. So we already have 2 Airbnbs on our property that cover the mortgage of what our current home in Montana costs. So there's no additional, like, we could roll that $3,000 for our primary into this property. Now, not every situation is going to be like that. Like, you would have to cover both mortgages with the cash flow from our Montana house if our home already did not cash flow. We already are set up in we've put ourselves in a situation that is already cash flowing. So that makes the move to Arizona we can get paid for instead of just breaking even. Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. Right. So that's one of the big reasons why we're doing it, is not only that we want to escape the cold, but we also want to make more money. And
so you get paid to go walk in Arizona.
I'm gonna get paid to go walk in Arizona, right? which is pretty cool. So now we got to talk about. So now from a monthly basis, we're gonna get paid. But what about that down payment? So now we got to come up with. Let's call it $60,000 plus closing costs. Let's just call it either $70,000 or maybe upwards of $40,000, between $40,000 and $70,000. Okay. So, what are some of the strategies what are some of the ways that we need that we can come up with this $40,000 to $70,000?
Yeah, the 3 that come to mind is out of our bank account.
We could pay for that out of our bank account.
We have a HELOC.
We have a HELOC on this primary residence.
And private money.
Private money, right? And so those are the 3 options. And so the worst option is what?
I would say out of our bank account.
Yeah, it's out of our bank account, right? And so even though it's going to be a primary, there's still room on it because the cash flows for private money on it. So if we actually took $70,000, do you have your phone on you?
Sure.
So let's do the math on this.
No.
Oh, here, I have my phone on me. So here you go. I'll let you do this. So let's say we need $70,000, but we're also going to need furniture as well. So it's not really $70,000. We actually need probably an additional $10,000, $5,000, probably another $20,000. Let's call it $15,000 in furniture. So that would be $85,000 all in. Okay. So because we got to furnish the property as well. So $85,000. So let's say we bring in someone who wants to earn some money on the $85,000, which is sitting in a 401k or sitting in an ROA or sitting in your bank account, and it's just getting eroded away by inflation right now. And so someone's like, "Hey, I want to put that money to work." I'm like, "Katie, you have a place for someone who's losing money's in the bank account or wants to make 10% on their money?"
Yeah.
So let's say someone wants to put that $85,000 to work at a 10% interest rate. So go ahead and multiply that by 10% and then divide that by 12. So that means that someone's going to get paid $708 every single month. And who pays for that $708?
The cash flow.
The cash flow from the property does, right? And so now, are we actually making $1,500?
No, we're only making $800.
We're only making $800, right? But how much money are we coming out of pocket in this situation?
None.
No monies, right? And so this would be the most ideal situation.
So what's the cash on cash return?
Yeah, the cash on cash return is infinite. infinite, right? And so that is the best strategy, and that's the one that we'll move forward with, because ultimately, like, someone is sitting out there who wants to put some money to work, and we have an opportunity and a property for them to put it to work, and it's going to help us as well. So it just becomes a huge win-win situation, right? So that's basically how we're going to fund this deal. And then as far as managing the deal, how are we going to manage it when we're in Arizona? So obviously, like, we're going to live there, and then we have a guest house that we're going to Airbnb, and then we'll also Airbnb our primary house that we're living in right now. How are those going to be managed?
Yeah, well, I already do all of our short-term rentals, so I will just add them to the portfolio.
Nice. Yeah, so they'll just go right in line with our business already, right?
Mhm.
So we already have the team, the structures. It'll be a little bit different when we're doing things out of state. Although, will it be? Because we're actually going to be doing it while we're there, which is interesting to think about.
Yeah, no,
it's very interesting, right? So yeah, so that's how we're managing the deal, and that's how we funded the deal, and that's how we found the deal.
Sounds like a great deal.
Good deal. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and it all started with just putting it out to the world and saying, this is one of our goals, right? This is one of our goals. And
is manifestation real?
I believe so.
Did that just happen?
Yeah. I believe that once you decide that you want something and you just say how rather than if or can I, you ask a better question. It's just like, how can I make this happen? And you remove your timeline. Like, to me, it didn't matter if we were going to get that deal the first day, or we were going to get it at the end of the year, or we were just going to get it in the next decade. Like, it was after the end of 2022. If we reestablish our goals and maybe that our plans had changed, that's fine. But if it was still on there, be like, it's still how, right? So I believe manifestation is really powerful, and it works because ultimately, as us as human beings, we will always live up to what we believe we can do. And
Henry Ford, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right.
Right. And so sometimes it's watching podcasts like this, it's having people around you who think bigger to just allow you to believe in yourself a little bit more, or just to borrow some of their belief and like, you know what, if that freaking guy can do it, I can do it. And that's why we do these podcasts, is so for you to look at us like, dude, if they can freaking do this, so can I. Because Katie, are we special?
I mean, no.
I mean,
as much as I want to believe I'm very special, it's not. Yeah. No, we're not special.
You're special.
I'm very special.
But we as human beings are not special. Like, you're special to me.
Yeah.
And so I think ultimately that is what this is all about, is just being able to borrow some of that belief. And so hopefully you get some value from this and you start to see, like, you know, if these guys can do it, I can do it. And if you need help or you have questions, like, reach out to us. Like, this is what we do. We're super passionate about it. We do this stuff for free. We don't get paid to do this. And it just helped change our life dramatically.
It really has.
We want to share this because that's our goal. Like, we want to share. We want to help other people get into the game of real estate. We want other people to invest with us. We want to create partnerships. Part of our other goals is to do 10 new partnerships this year. So again, if that's you want to actually participate, you want to play with us, whether it be finding us a deal, whether it be funding a deal, or whether it be managing a deal, or whether it be a combination of any of those things, like, come invest with us, come play.
We'd love it.
Love it. So appreciate you guys taking the time out. And Katie, I appreciate you.
Thanks.
So my name is Logan Manzanares.
Katie Manzanares.
And we're out.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
How do you end this one?